Welcome to the Thrive Co podcast, exploring the inner side of success. I am your host, Nikki, and each week we will explore the mindset shifts, personal growth, and everyday tools that will help you to navigate ambition, manage stress, and build a life that actually feels good on the inside. Through solo episodes and honest guest conversations, we look at what it really takes to grow, change, and thrive in the modern world. Hello and welcome to the Thrive Co podcast. Or welcome back if you are a returning listener. And if you are, thanks for being here. Honestly, I probably don't say that enough, but I'm so grateful for every single one of you that listens, for every single one of you that messages, that shares the content. I even had somebody message me the other day who I knew years ago from back home, back in the Midlands. And he messaged me saying, I've never listened to a podcast before and I've just started listening to yours and I love it. And you know what? It's so funny because I think because I've been immersed in not just self-development, but like podcasts and that kind of medium for so long now. Like I've probably got, I'd say like 12 to 15 podcasts that I listen to weekly. I think because I work from home and also because I do like long dog walks. And if I'm driving, I always listen to a podcast as opposed to music. Well, it depends what mood I'm in, but generally speaking, I'll have a podcast on. I just assume that everybody is doing the same thing and everybody's in the podcasting space and has got all their favourites. And it just reminded me that they're not at all. And actually, you know, if this is new to you, thank you so much for just even clicking listen and being here, because it means the absolute world to me. And hopefully you're getting some value from it too. So I just wanted to say that. But today's episode will probably be a little bit shorter. The reason being, so I normally record this like well in advance. I normally do it in a lunch hour or an evening in the week, and it's normally edited and up by like Wednesday or Thursday, ready for release on Sunday. And it got to this morning and I suddenly realised, shit, I haven't recorded my podcast. And it's not because I've not been like super motivated or passionate this week to get something out. It's just purely because I've been so busy with my day job and I've had so many meetings, and then I've been doing things in the evening. We had friends over one night for a barbecue, and it's just fallen out of routine basically. So I'm recording this on Saturday before it comes out on Sunday. But by the grace of God, we've been given another beautiful day of sunshine, which I didn't plan for. I didn't think that we were going to have that at all this weekend. It looked like it was going to be cloudy and a little bit cooler and definitely not weather to sit outside. So we've had the nicest morning. I took Molly on a really nice big long, almost hour-long walk before it got too warm this morning. And then Dean and I, my husband and I, went to the gym together. We went and got some barbecue food and a nice coffee. And then we've come back and had a little barbecue lunch. And I thought, right, before I carry on with the rest of my day, I need to get the podcast recorded. I'm looking out the window now and it's still 24, 25 degrees. And I'm like desperate to get in the sunshine. But also I have a commitment to all of you that listen. And do you know what? I love doing this. So I definitely wasn't going to miss a week. However, yeah, probably won't be as long because I'm going to go and live my life. So this week I wanted to talk about something that I've known about for a while. It's something that I was introduced to. So in the book club that I'm in, we're doing a book this month called Rich as Fuck by Amanda Francis. If you watch Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, she's been in the latest season of that. She was a new housewife. Not gonna lie, she's quite Marmite. Not sure how I feel about her as a person, but I love her work. I love her book. And the book we did maybe 2 or 3 years ago in the book club, and I was obviously in a very different situation then. We were in a different house. I don't even know if I'd got my own business at that point. We had changed things up a lot, but I wasn't where I wanted to be. And it's really funny that you can do work and hear something at one point, and then you can be a few years down the line and hear the same thing again and do the same exercise and the same work again, and it be a completely different experience. And the one thing that she talks about in this book is something called energetic set points. And it was something that I was talking to somebody about the other day without using that terminology, without using the energetic set points kind of title, if you like. But we were talking about how you can get to, like, you start doing something that was once a goal or was once a dream, and then it just becomes comfortable. And actually, all you've done at that point is change your energetic set point. So, like, for instance, before we moved into this house, when we were in I'd got a flat in Birmingham and my husband had got his flat that he rented in Leeds. And all through lockdown, we lived in his flat. It was in a really rough area. It wasn't, the flat itself was fine, but it was like basic furniture because the majority was the landlord's furniture. It was a flat in the middle of two other flats. So there was somebody above and somebody below. And it wasn't that nice of environment. So we wanted to get out. There was somebody murdered on the street in lockdown as well. I forgot that part. So that kind of made our mind up. But yeah, we wanted to get out of there. And when we were looking for houses and looking for somewhere that we could buy together, had we have found the house that we're in now, there's absolutely no way on God's green earth that we would have been able to even look at that as an option. A, because we wouldn't have had the finances for the deposit, but we wouldn't have had the finances to pay the mortgage, which is, at least 50% higher than the house that we were in before this. And it just would have been completely out of our comfort zone and kind of out of the realm of what we felt that we could do at that point. And yet, when we were looking for a house, when we sold our previous house, which was only 4.5 years later, it was absolutely doable. I mean, it was still a stretch in terms of the timing, which I think I've mentioned before, but it was absolutely doable. Likewise, when I started my business, that was something that, whilst it was very, very scary to me, I was in a place where I felt a lot more ready to take that leap. Had I have done that, say, I don't know, when lockdown happened, there's no way that I'd have been able to make a success of it or to even feel comfortable considering doing, taking that leap, because it just felt so out of reach. But also the experience that I'd got up until that point didn't feel enough to make it work. And maybe it would have been, who knows, if I'd have been forced into doing it, if it was like, you literally have to start your business or you'll have no income, then of course I'd have made it work. But what felt comfortable for my energy at that point, for my ability to, ease into it and make it work, was certainly not that. So I actually Googled the meaning of energetic set points, because I was like, I know what they are and I know how to describe it, but actually it's sometimes not, like, it's more of a feeling for me. And what Google said was, energetic set points are your subconscious baseline capacities and standards for wealth, health, and well-being. They act as internal thermostats that dictate your comfort zone, the maximum and minimum you are willing to accept in your life before your subconscious or physical habits kick in to bring you back to your baseline. So for me, I've experienced this with kind of health and like weight, if you like. Not that I've ever been actively trying to lose a significant amount of weight, but I always come back to round about the same baseline, regardless of whether I've had like a super indulgent period or calorie deficit period. Unless I'm kind of like actively trying, it always kind of sits around the same. And I know friends of mine that have done exactly the same. Like they have been kind of actively trying to lose weight, and actually their mindset around it hasn't changed, and it's always just stayed around the same point. Likewise, you hear of people that like win the lottery and then within months they have lost it all and they're back to where they started. And that isn't because they're bad with money. It's not because they are, reckless. I mean, some of them might have been. It's because they haven't learned to hold that new wealth, and their energetic set point is at like a low level for what they're able to kind of like hold and what they're comfortable being with. So having that amount of money in their bank, they end up just like completely getting rid of it in essence. So it's the comfort zone and your baseline that you are comfortable with in essence for most things in life. And we were talking about it, my friend and I, in the sense of, well, there was a few things we were talking about. We were talking about it from a business perspective in terms of, we can have these massive business goals and we can have these massive revenue goals and what we want to achieve. But actually, what was happening was we were always roughly making the same amount per month, not personally, but within our businesses. And it's because as much as we might vision and dream about having the next level of income or revenue, we hadn't changed our energetic set point at that time. We hadn't changed what we were comfortable with. It was like a want rather than something that we felt that we were capable of or felt that we were deserving of. And there's a big difference. Like, I can want a £10 million house, but when I say that, something inside me contracts and I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel like that's possible for me, and it doesn't feel comfortable. And I'm not saying you have to feel 100% comfortable with these things. Like, there's going to be an element of discomfort there, of stretch of reach, but actually it's where you change your mindset to the point that your baseline changes. So if, for instance, you've always had, I don't know, say £3,000 paid into your bank account every month from your job, if you get a promotion and you're suddenly paid £4,000 every month, then over time that becomes your new energetic set point because you're just used to what you're being paid. If, however, you were running your own business and you were used to making £3,000 every month, to then move to making £4,000, something would need to change in terms of your mindset, in terms of your ability to hold that new amount of money. Because what you will find quite a lot of the time will happen is that money will come in and it will just go straight back out, and you'll always have a certain amount in your bank account and it will always be roughly the same. And it's like, at the end of the month, if you're somebody that's used to having, I don't know, 500 quid left over, it's very rare that you'll ever drop below that. But if you're somebody that is used to literally living in your overdraft, then that's your energetic set point. So what your expectations are and your baseline around the minimum and the maximum that you're willing to hold is completely different from somebody else. I, for instance, am somebody that doesn't like debt. I won't, not that anybody likes debt, but like, I'm not comfortable with debt. I will have my mortgage and occasionally I'll have a car on finance because it doesn't make sense to me to buy a car outright that's just going to depreciate. But anything else, my husband this week went and bought a new phone outright because we were like, I don't want to have that monthly outgoing and be paying more for it than we would do if we just bought it outright. So we are people that don't like having monthly outgoings for things that we can just buy outright. I have got friends that live their life on credit and they're perfectly comfortable with that. They value experiences and they'll think about it later. And their baseline is like, yeah, that's fine. We'll just put it on the credit card or go into the overdraft. So it's what you're willing to accept and to kind of have as a minimum, but also as a maximum. If you're not comfortable holding money, or you're not comfortable, if you haven't changed your identity around being a certain weight, the likelihood of you being able to stay at that weight once you've achieved it, you can always get there through calorie deficit and exercise, but actually staying at that weight, if you identify as somebody who is heavier, the likelihood is it's always going to go back to where it was. And you'll notice this in your own life. It might be in finances, it might be health, it might be your business, it might be in relationships. Like, if your baseline in relationships is just accepting people who treat you really badly, talk to you shittily, overstep your boundaries and disrespect you, until you do something to change that, that's going to be your energetic set point of what you will accept for yourself, in essence. So you're probably asking, well, how on earth do we change that? Because it's all very well saying you want more money, or you want to be a different body shape, or you want to, stop accepting toxic relationships in your life. But how do you actually go about changing it? There's a few things that you can do, but I would say the biggest thing is identity and mindset work. It is really understanding your why and why you want that, because at the end of the day, it's like with anything, isn't it? If you've not got a strong reason or motivation or why, you're not going to do the thing. You're not going to force yourself to, be at the gym, or to try and win new clients, or to stay off the dating sites. You've got to have a really strong why, but that isn't enough to change your set point, because your why might be strong, but if you're still identifying as somebody, or you still have the belief that you are somebody that only makes $3,000 a month, or only is deserving of toxic behavior in relationships, or only, can get to a certain, I don't even want to say dress size, because I don't think that anyone should be aiming for, dress sizes, but, you believe that you're not somebody that can be toned and fit, and you identify as somebody that is always going to be a little bit unfit. That's the first thing that you need to. You need to look at how you are identifying, and understand what you're identifying at as the moment. What is your baseline? What are you accepting? And what is your energetic set point in the area that you want to change? Because you can't change anything unless you've identified where you're at. Like any goal that you've got, you need to know where you're starting from. So like for me in business, I had a certain amount when I was working agency side that I would never bill less than every month, because I just wouldn't. It was just what I would accept, and somehow that would always happen. Obviously, I'd put in the work, but sometimes things would come out of the woodwork that would get me to that figure, and yeah, it wasn't anything I could have predicted. But then when I started working for myself, and I probably didn't need to be making quite as much to have the same take home, that dropped, and then to get back to where I would have been agency side was really difficult, and I had to do some really strong work around my identity and my mindset and my energetic set points to really get back to, where I had been, because I realized that I'd allowed that to slip. I'd allowed that to drop. So the first thing is to understand, like, where am I right now? What am I accepting? What is my baseline? And then it's really to ground yourself into For those of you that are regular listeners to the show, or maybe you know me personally, you won't have been able to get away without hearing me talk about Simprove. Simprove is a scientifically backed, water-based probiotic drink. You drink it daily, and it has been scientifically proven to help with things like bloating, IBS symptoms, pain. It was actually a dietitian friend of mine that introduced it to me last year, and I honestly wouldn't be without it now. It's helped with my energy, with my bloating, it's helped with my immune system, and also things like my skin. The list is honestly endless. Now, I have got a code for you. So if you'd like to try Simprove, you can get 50%, that's a massive 50% off your first 3 month subscription by going on to simprove.com and putting in the code Nikki50. That's NIKKI50, or clicking the link in the show notes. Being able to visualize where it is that you want to be, because knowing where you're coming from is one thing, but being able to visualize like the money in the bank, or the fitness levels and the body type, or the happy relationship that you want, what are those feelings? What does it feel like? And if that makes you feel uncomfortable, if it makes you contract, if you feel undeserving, then you've got work to do around that. Sometimes it's just as easy as literally making the decision that I'm going to be making $5,000 every month, and things will change. Somehow the universe arranges everything for that to work and that to happen. But if you've got really deep rooted identity issues around the thing that you're trying to change, that's not going to be enough. Making the decision is just the very first baby step. You're not going to get to change your energetic set point with decision alone, but making the decision is definitely the first thing that you need to do. You need to get in your mind into the visualization of where you want to be, and know that is the goal, and that is completely achievable. And then it's really about rewiring your kind of like mindset and mental state. So visualization is a great tool to do, to shift your mindset, but you need to attach the emotion to that as well. You need to really get into like the feelings, and also sort of self-generating better feelings and better thoughts when you feel like you are contracting and you are having those moments of negative thinking or spiraling, or, you know, that self-talk that doesn't serve you. So observing where you are now, but then also being able to observe your thoughts in the moment are so powerful. If you can catch yourself when, let's for instance say, you know, you wanted to earn $5,000 a month, and you go, right, I'm going to, from now on, that's it. I'm decided I am going to be somebody that earns £5,000 a month or $5,000 a month. And then your brain starts going, yeah, but you're not. How are you? Because your job only pays you £3,000 and you're never going to get promoted. And so in so-and-so department's only been here a year less than you and they've got promoted. And it's all that mental chatter that then takes you back to, oh no, I'll just stay where I am. So you need to really identify what it is that you're saying to yourself and those negative thoughts, and replace them. I'm not saying toxically positive, but replace them with thoughts of, well, why can't I get there? And I'm just as good. And actually, there's many ways and means to earn money. And if this job won't pay me that, then maybe I can look for a new job. And that, you know, all of the negativity needs to be wiped out with better thoughts and more positive thoughts that serve you better. And then the other things that I would say are massively influential on this, and probably one of the biggest reasons why people do then contract and go back to where they felt comfortable at their baseline, are who you surround yourself with and what you're consuming. So if you're surrounding yourself with people that only earn £3,000 a month and none of them have ever pushed themselves beyond that, and by the way, I'm not saying £3,000 a month because that's not a high amount of money. Like, I've just picked it out of thin air. I don't know why, but so if you're say you're surrounding yourself with people that are earning exactly the same amount as you, and you're not seeing anybody reach beyond that, and then your social media is just full of people that are doing better than you at your age, better in inverted commas, super successful, you don't know if all that's on credit or if, you know, it's all fake. I've literally witnessed people walk into restaurants, take pictures as if they're eating there and walk out again. I've witnessed people walk into hotels and take pictures and walk out. Like, it's crazy what people will do to convince people that they don't know about the lifestyle that they have. But social media is the worst tool for comparison. And so turning off your social media for a while, curating your feed so that it's people that inspire you rather than make you feel shitty. Thinking about who you're surrounding yourself with. And I'm not saying cutting your friends or peers or family off, but, you know, are you surrounding yourself with people that are inspiring you and making you think that things are possible? Or are you surrounding yourself with people that are keeping you stuck and making you think that you just have to accept where you're at the moment? Are you, somebody that's trying to get into a fitness routine and all your friends are in the pub 5 nights a week? Or are you somebody whose best friend is in a toxic relationship and they let their partner speak to them like shit? And so maybe they don't want to see you in a successful, happy relationship because they're jealous or envious that, they don't have that and they're not willing to do this work. You need to change what it is that you're consuming and the people that you're surrounding yourself with in order to be able to change your energetic set point and understand what is possible, what is potential for you. So those are the things that I would suggest doing straight away. I think making the decision, understanding where you're at, and really getting to grips with, what is my comfort zone and what I am accepting right now, and then making a real concerted effort to change that, to shift that mindset, because you can stay at this point forever. You might be listening to this thinking, actually, I'm happy with where I'm at now. I'm absolutely more than happy with where I'm at with my fitness and where I'm at with my relationship and my business and my career, my finances. But I'm guessing if you're listening to a self-development podcast, there's definitely areas where, you want to level up. Maybe at the moment you have hit a revenue goal in your business, or there's, you're getting a certain amount of clients each week and that hasn't changed for a while. It's because that's your expectation now, that's your energetic set point. And when you change that and you level up, you never, ever, ever go back. I have never, ever, ever dropped below my income that every time I've changed it. Never. I've never, ever dropped below, because in my mind now it's just what's acceptable. And now that I've got an incredible marriage and a healthy relationship, if, my husband was to drop down dead tomorrow, I would never accept anything less than what I've got at the moment in the future, because I've experienced it. And you've changed that set point. You've changed what you'll expect of yourself and for yourself. And so it's funny how the things that we used to think were out of reach and be almost scared of are now things that we just accept. And it just enables you to climb that, not necessarily that ladder, but to create opportunities and just to better yourself consistently. But you have to put in the work to do that. If you just accept where you are now, you will stay there forever. Believe me, I've been there. I've stayed at certain set points for way too long when I could have pushed ahead. But it's all timing. And I think if you're listening to this now and you're thinking, yeah, actually, I can identify with where that's playing out in my life, the chances are that you are ambitious and you want to develop yourself and you want to improve yourself and you want to, go on to bigger and better things. And if not, then happy for you. Maybe you just want to live life coasting in your comfort zone, and that's fine. But I very much doubt that you'd be listening to this if that was the case. So I hope that you enjoyed that. Please go and follow the show. When I say follow, I mean click the follow button. It's normally the top right-hand corner of whatever podcasting platform you listen to this on. Please share on socials. Go and give us a 5-star review. All of the things. It really, really, really helps. And I will owe you big time. But have a wonderful week. And I look forward to seeing you again next time. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, make sure you are following the podcast, and don't forget to share episodes with a friend who may need it.